going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nintendo Land. Today we are taking a deep dive look at Super Mario Party Jamboree, and instead of trying to kind of dissect everything that this game has to offer, because let's face it, it's Mario Party. We know how Mario Party works. We know how the game boards work and everything, and there's not really any secrets to go off of here. But however, I do want to talk about the mini games because they were flashed by very quickly, and there's around 14 brand new mini games shown off here that I want to talk to you guys about and kind of explain maybe how they're going to work. So if you're excited to see all the mini games in Super Mario Party Jamboree, stop what you're doing, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario Party and Mario in general, and let's dive into Mario Party Jamboree's mini games. The first mini game we have is this carousel type machine where you and all the characters have to run around it and dodge the giant walls and also all the enemy traps as well. For instance, in the front and in the back there are two giant electric wires, so if you run into those, odds are you're out. You have giant robotic enemies as well, like boos that go up and down that you must jump over, and giant animatronic chain chomps that will stretch out from the back of the carousel to the front. Odds are the carousels speed up as time goes on, so you want to make sure you run as fast as you can, but also notice that the giant electric wires are actually coming from amp enemies, so yeah, there's a lot of little details going on here. This next mini game has you racing with your own colored Yoshi, where you have to race and reach the end of the obstacle course. In the middle you can see the bar, which is your progression and how far you are from the goal. Your job is to reach the end of the obstacle course by running with Yoshi or jumping and even fluttering. As you look closely, you can see that the Yoshis can actually flutter as well. You can also see Yoshi fruits on the ground, which you can probably pick up for stamina or speed or something, so you'll definitely want to pick those up. This mini game has 8 players, and it's your job to shuffle the giant long picture to match the right way, and so you have to take turns probably swapping with other players in order to push pieces further down the line in order to make the picture look correct, which is probably a fun co-op minigame, as we can see some others later on in the trailer. This minigame has you hammering some nails into the wood, and this is some of the few motion control minigames which cannot be played online simply due to the fact that some people have Switch Lites and some people want to use the Pro Controller, so yes, these are only for local play, but as you can see, you'll want to swing the hammer once the hammer charges up all the way on the wind-up. Once fully charged, you'll then swing the hammer down in order to nail it into the wood. Now as you can see, the various different nails have different heights with how far they are already in the wood, so you'll probably have to learn how long to charge up the hammer, meaning shorter charges for the nails that are already halfway in and longer charges for the nails that are sticking out further. The next minigame has you rotating the Joy-Con all motion control style in order to lead a golf ball into the hole, and there's like a little hill you can go up, obstacles like mushrooms, even a sand bunker that you could probably get stuck in, and I believe if you fall off it probably has to respawn the ball back on the star at the bottom left. And there's probably a bunch of different designs for this one, and I feel like this minigame would actually be a lot of fun. And it seems like it's round based because of the one that made it first gets 5 points. This next minigame is a 2v2 button masher, where you and your teammate have to probably just mash the A or B button as fast as you possibly can in order to get your hand to knock the other one down. Just a giant arm wrestling battle at the end of the day. Next up we have a 1v3 minigame where Waluigi is piloting a giant robotic bullet bill, or bonsai bill in this case, and you have to pretty much move back and forth in order to dodge out of its way, which I don't see how in the world you could lose as the one player, because this just looks way too easy to run people over. As the one being attacked, you probably want to learn some duck and dodge moves or ways to juke out your opponent, because this just looks like a very uphill battle. This next minigame looks slightly different from the rest, and I'm not really sure what to make of it so far. So you're driving this high-speed car all F-Zero style in the future, and you can switch multiple different lanes from 5 different lanes in order to pick up coins, and you have to dodge other racers on the path as well. You can see Mario's speed meter on the left, which probably means you can control it by going faster or slower, pushing a button or something along those lines, and it looks like there is some type of gold trophy standings for your character at the top left, and I really don't know how all that works, but also as you gather coins, you fill this bar that wraps around a cube icon on the right. This might be specific for the Koopathon game mode, but yeah, you're pretty much just switching lanes and picking up coins. coins. Next up, we have another mini game which also deals with coins and that cube, so maybe it is tied to the Koopathon game mode after all. You're playing a type of crane machine to win plushies without the crane. Your job is to move the hand with the pointer finger in the back and actually point the object or poke it in order to make it fall down into the hole and win the prize. Looks like you can control the power meter and what angle you poke the prize at, so that's pretty cool, and it looks like you get points based on what prizes you get. For anything like items or question blocks or bricks, you get 1 coin, and for each actual main character, like a Yoshi doll or a Mario doll, you get 3 coins. Upon further inspection, it looks like these mini games directly influence your character's movements on the Koopathon game board, which means if you get 1 coin, you get to move 1 space. If you get 3 coins, you get to move 3 spaces, which is a pretty unique game mode, honestly. This mini game actually has 20 characters all at once, which is pretty crazy, and you're all running away from a giant menacing looking Bowser, and you have to dodge the falling debris like the giant cannonballs falling from the sky and also the pegs sticking out of the ground, and you also can't drop into the lava or get caught by Bowser, and if you lose, you're out until the last one is standing, it looks like, which could be a very fun mode to play online. Here's another weird mini game where you have 8 characters on skis, and you each, I believe, probably have to march to the same beat in order to progress forward and beat the racing Wiggler. And this is probably another co-op game where you have to keep track of the beat and make sure everyone's tapping their buttons at the right time. This one, I can't lie, I'm at a complete loss for words. Now, the trailer did mention that some mini games are drastically different and that they're going to be tied to some new game modes. And this one is just wacky. It seems like you're in a mini open world area with Mario and Luigi with wings tied to them, flying a basket holding Peach. And it seems like the arrow is pointing to a destination to take Peach, which is up on the floating island with the giant tree. So I wonder if this is a 3-player game where Mario and Luigi players have to carefully guide the basket player up to their destination, and then the 3rd player that's in the basket gets to hop out and maybe go to a specific area or have to do something on the ground. I mean, on the ground, after all, you can see a tower of Goombas and maybe some areas that look like you can platform on. I do wonder if this is some type of 3D Mario-inspired minigame, which if that's the case, that sounds pretty daggone fun. I mean, considering the fact that the timer is extremely high at 103 seconds, I feel like this is definitely an abnormal minigame, some type of extra mode at least. This next game, you have all the characters chopping ingredients for a stew, and it looks like everybody has to do their job chopping at the right time, meaning some characters are going to have to chop at different intervals. For instance, as you can see, some of the players are either standing on a small cork or a giant cork or not standing on anything at all, which probably means you have to wait and chop when it's your time, which means you might have to chop earlier than others or at the same time, which is just one big co-op mini game, which once again is probably a side spin-off mode, as there's no timer or really any reason why all 4 players are working together. But this last mini game has definitely got me puzzled. It looks like once again there's 20 characters, but we only see 7 symbols at the bottom right, and we see another set of characters that's actually playing on the actual field, including a different color Toad being green. So what's going on? Well, the group that's actually firing cannonballs are trying to attack Bowser and do so with 20 damage. And it seems like there's little other forts around the entire area. So I almost see this as like a tower control mini game, where maybe you pick a spot and you get to level up your spot and maybe guess where Bowser's going to walk by, and maybe it's just like one big tower control game where you build your base up and do everything you can by collecting other things. You can see a parachute dropping a box of bombs, you can see tons of bombs laying all over the roads, and you can see other things like other characters like a Taifu. So this definitely feels like an extra mode and not just a mini game. Some of the buildings even have ladders, which looks like you might be able to climb up, so maybe it's just a big battle against Giant Bowser. You can run around this little city and do different things to hurt him, throwing individual bombs at him or grouping up with others in order to fire giant cannons, maybe collecting items and objects to climb up buildings and throw them at him. It's really hard to say right now because there's not a lot to go off of. But seeing this, I'm kind of hoping that there's actual boss battles returning in this Mario Party again, because that was some of my favorite parts about the newer Mario Parties like 9 and 10. But that is not all, because we do get to see the box art for our Super Mario Party Jamboree, and we might get a glimpse of some other mini games. You can see Luigi with the wings, which we've already seen that mini game, but there is another one apparently about flipping pancakes. As you can see, Bowser has burned his pancake, and Goomba's in the background flipping with his mouth, and then Toad is flipping a pancake as well. So some type of pancake flipping mini game. Then see Princess Peach holding a bag with a mushroom on it, and there's a little gold key popping out of it. I feel like we've seen this key somewhere, probably from a last Mario Party that I just forgot about, but you can also see a Boo Bell and some type of seashell beside her. I don't know if they're related, but yeah, some type of mini game, I guess, where Peach is running around with a bag and a key inside. And the final mini game we can see is Daisy chasing Waluigi as she has a giant squeaky hammer, and Waluigi has a bag of coins with coins popping out as he's running. So I would assume there's a player that has to run away from the other player with a giant hammer. Maybe it's a 1v1, maybe it's a 3v1, it's hard to say, but probably a 3v1 where 3 players with hammers chases the player with a coin bag. And that is every single mini game that we've seen so far from Super Mario Party Jamboree. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and if I somehow missed anything, definitely let me know in the comments down below, and let me know which one of these mini games are you the most excited for. The Yoshi games and the carousel look really fun to me, but I'm also very interested in that open world thing where Mario and Luigi are carrying Peach around. Also really like the tilting golf mini game. There's a lot of really fun looking mini games here, and I can't wait to get my hands on all of them when the game releases. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.